This week on this South African edition of the Gun Room, we're getting familiar with the Swiss Army knife of suppressors, the SilencerCo Omega 36M. Now, when I was putting together my gear list for this trip to South Africa, one of my criteria was that I wanted the maximum amount of flexibility with the minimum amount of gear. And the reason for that is putting big Pelican cases into small rental cars absolutely sucks. And I don't have a Sherpa, so it's only just me. So last time when I came to South Africa, I went and bought a suppressor here over the counter. This time around, however, I wanted to make that criteria. I wanted to make sure that the suppressor that I brought would work on every caliber that I'm shooting. The two calibers I'm shooting out here are the venerable 270 Winchester and the even older 9.3x62. The reason I chose those two was that, first of all, in the case of the 270, it's available all over the world. It's had a long track record of dumping every deer size and up species on the planet. The other caliber I chose was a little bit of an oddity in that 9.3x62 is not particularly familiar to the US audience. However, again, developed in 1906 by Otto von Bock, it has the ability to put the maximum amount of ass in a standard Mauser 98 receiver. It also has a long storied record of being able to dump pretty much any big game species on its ass. And that's important because on this trip there's a good chance that instead of just concentrating on plains game, we'll also have the opportunity to go hunt Cape buffalo. And they have the potential for stomping my ass into a mud hole. The rifle that I brought in order to further that goal of modularity and flexibility is the Strasser RS14. And that gives me the opportunity to swap out barrels without bringing another rifle and having the ability to swap into, say, the 9.3x62 caliber. All I need to do is just pull the old barrel off, put the new barrel on, and I'm off to the races. And I wanted a suppressor in order to support that idea and that modularity. So the suppressor I chose was indeed the SilencerCo Omega 36M. I've had a long time behind the regular Omega 300. The 36M takes things up to the next level, however. Let's start off with its construction. The back section is constructed of Inconel and Cobalt 6. All good stuff. I mean, they're very, very erosion resistant, and it's rated down to a 10.5-inch barrel on an AR, on a 5.56 AR anyway. In terms of bullet diameter, it's rated up to 9mm. Now, I am stretching the envelope a little bit when it comes to 9.3. It's another 10,000th of an inch bigger than a 9mm projectile, and SilencerCo wouldn't give me a definitive answer as to whether or not it would work on a 9.3. I've shot it on a 9.3, it works. It does not launch the end cap, which is a huge bonus. And as in terms of suppression, you have two options. You can either use the regular length body, like this, screw the end cap into the end, or there's a 3-baffle extension, which you can use when you're shooting Magnum calibers to take the edge off even further. There's a little bit of a penalty when it comes to weight and length when you screw the additional module on, but because these baffles are made of 17.4 pH stainless steel, they're not as heavy as Inconel or Cobalt 6. The end cap itself is aluminum, and that just screws on in there, and then once it's in, again, you can shoot anything up to 9mm in diameter. The back end, again, is also modular, and it takes either the almost universal ASR pattern adapters, or you can use just a regular threaded adapter, threaded end cap, should you wish to. I wanted the additional modularity of being able to switch between my 9.3 and 270 barrel, and I wanted to guarantee it to return to zero. To do that, I've used the ASR adapter because that allows me to do it, whereas if you do a direct thread, there's always a little bit of uncertainty there as to where it indexes. So that's the Omega 36M in a nutshell. If you want to see how it performed in the field, then go and watch our carnivore trip to South Africa.